we are starting a new session, and that's with the 8th word. And inshallah, Sister Yamina will walk us through this session together. Bismillah.
And before we start, Assalamu alaikum, I want to welcome friends who are joining us for the first time. So welcome everyone, old friends, new friends, always friends.
Thank you, Sister Maha, for doing that. Welcome.
Okay, thank you, Maha. Thank you, Ziba. أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. So as Ziba just mentioned, today, inshallah, we'll start with this so-called 8th word from the work of Imam Badi' al-Zaman Sa'id al-Nursi, rahimahullah. And they are reflections on these two passages from the Quran. The first one is Allahu la ilaha illa huwa al-hayyul qayyum, and the second one is Inna al-dina 'inda Allahi al-Islam. The first one, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, it's a passage from Surah Al-Baqarah, ayah 255, the beginning of Surah Al-Kursi, Ayat Al-Kursi, sorry. God, there is no deity except Him, the ever-living, the self-subsistent. And the second one is a passage from al-Imran, chapter 3, ayah 19. Truly, the religion before God is surrender. Islam in the sense of surrender. Surrendering to God, surrendering to the divine will. So, as usual, if anyone would volunteer to share the text with us, and then we go back and start reading and reflecting from the beginning, inshallah. Do we have, inshallah, anyone who would like to read the text that is shared on the shared screen? Everyone is silent. MashaAllah.
Oh.
Okay, so this is the 8th word. If you want to understand this world and human beings' spirit within the world, and the nature and the value of religion for human being, and how the world is a prison if there is no true religion, deen al-haq, and that without deen, without religion, human being becomes the most miserable of creatures, and that it is all God and la ilaha illallah, there is no deity except God, that solve this world's talisman and deliver the human spirit from darkness. Then listen to and consider this comparison. It's actually this parable. So this is a parable. What comes after? Long ago, two brothers set off on a long journey. They continued on their way until the road forked. At the fork, they saw a serious-looking man and asked him, which road is good? He told them, on the road to the right one is, no, on the road to the right, one is compelled to comply with the law and order, but within that hardship is security and happiness. However, on the left-hand road, there is freedom and no restraint, but within its freedom lie danger and wretchedness. Now the choice is yours. Now, as usual, this is something, the parables based on the parables in the Quran when there are always two choices. And we mentioned this and talked about it in the past, that we always have two choices. There is no neutral choice in between. We are either in one hal, in one state of being, or the other. We are either, because even when we are not choosing consciously, then unconsciously, when we are in a state of heedlessness, of ghafla, we are making a choice by default. By not choosing to live consciously, we are by default making the choice to live, to remain unconscious. And the two paths, as we are told in the Quran, وَهَدَيْنَاهُ النَّجْدَيْن, we created human being and gave him all these abilities, and we put these two paths before him, either to live consciously, acknowledging our relationship with our sustainer here and now, or we don't even have to deny the relationship. We just live in unawareness of it. When we live in an unawareness of it, it becomes, we start living as though that sustainer is not there. And the left and right symbolism here is also taken from the Quran, but since it's not directly related to, there is no need to go and take passages from the Quran, because it's just a representation as far as this parable here is concerned. So one is, has order and rules and law and order, but there is security. Although it looks like hardship, limitation, there is security and happiness within it. What comes to mind, the easiest example that comes to my mind is, for instance, traffic. There are traffic rules, and because, or when everyone follows the rules, everyone stops when there is, for instance, a stop sign or a red light, then we drive, we feel safe when we are driving. We don't feel like someone will suddenly, accidents happen, but generally we trust that we are more or less safe, because we trust that most people follow the rules. So it looks like a limitation, but that limitation is there to help us to bring security, to bring safety. And so here, we're happy when there is safety, when we can, as we are driving with that knowing, we feel, it feels good. It's not like we're scared, anything can happen anytime. On the left hand, there is freedom, no rule, nothing. However, no restraint. However, he's saying within this freedom, there is danger. Can you imagine if there is no rules, everyone can drive as they want, the rate of accidents, and not only when the accident happen, even if there is no accident, we will be always like in very high stress, because at the corner, someone can just bump into you suddenly. So next paragraph, after listening to this, saying, I place my trust in God, tawakkaltu ala Allah, the brother with a good character. Remember before in the sixth word, we talked about there was arrogance and humility. There was one with who had humility and the other one arrogance. And we're saying pre-Iman, these characters are important. We need humility so that we will be open to surrender, and our heart will open to Iman, to first Islam and then Iman. Islam in the sense of surrender. But if there is arrogance, then there is no way, we are not open. Arrogance is already based on claiming or imagining in the delusion of that we are what we are not truly. That, for instance, we have the delusion, we deceive ourselves like we exist on our own as if we're not dependent on anyone, which is not the truth. The truth is that 24/7, here and now, we are always dependent on whoever is sustaining our life, our breathing here and now. Not only our life and breathing here, but also the air out there that we need to breathe. We have no control over our breathing and our life, and we have no control over the air outside. Subhanallah. And so that humility is necessary. And here he's talking about good character. Of course, good character comes with humility. Good character, the brother with, remember, two brothers, and as the two brothers can be two different people, but they are also essentially two attitudes. And those two attitudes, each one of us has the potential of each attitude. And it is up to us to choose which one we want to live with. So the brother with a good character took the right road and conformed to the order and regulations. The other brother, who was immoral and a layabout, chose the road to the left just for the lack of restrictions. Why he chose that? Oh, there is no rule here, no restraint. Let's go this way. But they already told him, but there is danger. It's someone who's short-sighted. With our imagination, we shall follow this man, the second man, in his situation, which was apparently easy because apparently it looks there are no rules to follow, no order, nothing. But in reality, it's burdensome. Thus this man went uphill, down dale, until he found himself in a desolate wilderness. He suddenly heard a terrifying sound and saw that a great lion had come out of the forest and was about to attack him. He fled. He came across a waterless well 60 yards deep, and in his fear, he jumped into it. Without thinking, he's scared of something, he jumps into something else. He felt halfway down it where his hands met a tree. He clung onto it. The tree, which was growing out of the walls of the well, had two roots. Two rats, one white and one black, were attacking and gnawing through the roots. He looked up and saw that the lion was waiting at the top of the well like a sentry. He looked down and saw a ghastly dragon. It raised its head and drew it close to his foot for 30 yards above. Its mouth was as big as the mouth of the well. So if he falls, he's going to fall into the mouth of the dragon. Then he looked at the well's walls and saw that stinging, poisonous vermin that had gathered around him. Vermin here could be insects, snakes, anything that's harmful and poisonous and stinging. And he looked up at the mouth of the well and saw a fig tree. But it was not an ordinary tree. It bore the fruits of many different trees, from walnuts to pomegranates. So it's one tree, but it has all kinds of fruits. Thus, due to his lack of thoughts and foolishness, the man did not understand that this was not just some ordinary matter. These things were not here by chance, and that there were mysterious secrets concealed in these strange beings. And he did not grasp that there was someone very powerful directing them. Now, although his heart and spirit and mind were secretly weeping and wailing at this grievous situation, his evil commanding soul pretended here the soul, okay, let's not go there. I think we can guess. Pretended that it was nothing. So this person is not listening to his inner self, is not genuine, not authentic, because if he stops and listens to the weeping and the wailing inside, he would not be able to deal with the situation, because he's not ready to take to give up his selfish, foolish choices, desires, and for instance, his desire for freedom, regardless that freedom comes at the cost of danger. He's only looking at, oh, here I'll be free. There's freedom here. So there is no wisdom in this stand, in this attitude. And so even though you find this weeping and wailing inside, he's ignoring it and pretending as if there was nothing. It closed its ears, the evil commanding souls close its ears to the weeping of his heart and spirit, and deceiving itself, started to eat the trees, fruits, as though it was in a garden. But he's hanging up there. If he goes up, there is a lion, the lion that he ran away from. Down, there is a dragon waiting, and the tree itself, the roots are being eaten. So the tree itself is not something reliable. And this tree has so many, it looks like a fig tree. It has all these fruits. Something strange is going on. Instead of pondering about what's going on, and maybe there is a key to the mystery that he can find out, he is now distracting himself by eating the fruits of the tree, as if he were in a garden. But some of the fruit were poisonous and harmful. Almighty God says in a Qudsi hadith, I am sacred hadith, I think they're translated rather than a divine hadith, but divine in the sense that it's God speaking, but not in the Quran sense, like meaning-wise, it's God speaking, but the words are not like in the Quran. I am according to how my servants or my worshipper think of me. أنا عند ظن عبدي بي. Thus, through his foolishness and lack of understanding, this unhappy man thought that what he saw to be ordinary and the actual truth. He's not looking at the meaning of things. Whatever he sees, he thinks this is it. But of course, there is no such a thing as whatever we see is that. There's no neutral interpretation. It's already an interpretation when I'm saying this is only this. So that is the way he was treated, and is treated and will be treated. He neither dies so that he's saved from it, nor does he live. He's in such torment. He is hanging there in between. He's eating the fruits, but some fruits are poisonous, some are harmful, and he's just hanging there. He's not saved, he doesn't live properly, he is just hanging there, being tormented. Now we shall leave this ill-omened man in his torment and return so that we may consider the situation of the other brother. Remember the other brother? He chose the first path, the path to the right, where there is order, there are rules. However, within that, there is also safety and happiness. This fortunate and intelligent person went on his way, but he suffered no distress like his brother. For due to his fine morals, he thought of good things and imagined good things. Everything was friendly and familiar to him, and he did not suffer any difficulty and hardship like his brother, for he knew the order and followed it. He followed the order. He found it easy. Of course, once you intend to follow the order, then it becomes your way of living, like it becomes your habit, and it's not a burden anymore. You don't find it restraining anymore because that's how things are. But if you say, no, there is this shouldn't be, or there is another way of doing it, then it becomes like a burden. And it's the intention. It's like, to me, always I remember, like during the year, wherever I intend to fast, I find it harder, unless I have to really like be very convinced that yes, like tomorrow I am fasting. But if I intend to fast, something happens, I'm invited, something, it's very easy to change that because I feel like I'm fasting, it's my choice, but I don't have to. But in Ramadan, there's no way, like during the year, if I feel like, oh, today I'm not feeling well or something, maybe I shouldn't fast. Although fasting is good for your health, but like there is a part of us that says, no, you are not well, you shouldn't be fasting. Especially for me, fasting, what scares me is not drinking water. But in Ramadan, whether you're sleepless or you didn't eat sahur or you didn't drink enough water, the possibility doesn't come even. I don't even entertain the possibility of not fasting the next day. And lo and behold, alhamdulillah, there's no, because there is no possibility of not fasting, fasting becomes so easy. It is made easy. So from this, I can conclude that it is my illusion or my entertaining the possibility of I could be outside Ramadan, not fasting. Suddenly, fasting becomes more of a burden. So it's intention here. When we make the intention to follow the rule, and then that's it. It becomes so easy, alhamdulillah. So this fortunate and intelligent person went on his way freely. Now he's free. You see, freely. Why? Because on this path, everyone is following the same rules. So there is freedom, there is safety, there is freely and in peace and security. Then he came across a garden in which were both lovely flowers and fruits. And since it was not looked after, there were also rotting and filthy things. His brother had also entered such a garden, but he had noticed and occupied himself with the filthy things, and they had turned his stomach. So he had left the garden, left it, and moved on without being able to rest himself. So this garden is not tended to. And so it has flowers and fruits, but it also, because no one looked after it, there were also some rotting things and filthy things as well. The brother from the left, they also passed through this garden, but he was disgusted by the rotting things and didn't even rest there. Why was he disgusted? Because it means he focused his attention on them, but there were also flowers and lovely fruits and things. He didn't look at that. He looked at what was rotting, what was unsightly, let's say. But this man, the man of the right, had acted according to the rule, look on the good side of everything, and had paid no attention to the rotting things. There are plenty of fruits, plenty of beautiful flowers. Who cares about the rotting things? Of course, there will be rotting. If there is a tree of fruit, there will be some rotting fruits underneath it. He had benefited a lot from the good things, and taking a good rest, he had left and gone on his way. Later, also like his first brother, he had entered a vast desert and had suddenly heard the roar of a lion, which was attacking him. He was frightened. So they are actually the two paths now, we understand, are not physically in space. They are in the same space, in the same reality. So the path here is their attitudes, how they interact with things, how they perceive things, and therefore how they interact them. And how they perceive them is the outcome of their first choice, which the choice, we're always making choices, either consciously or unconsciously. The whole point is, in the Quran, we are taught And we are called to live consciously and make conscious choices that are beneficial to us in this life and inshallah in the next, because there is nothing that is beneficial in this life if it is disconnected from the next life. This is something that I repeat because it's so important. Even if we find like what in worldly terms is the best, like the best achievements, the most successful life, if it is unrelated, it is disconnected from eternity, from permanence, if it is impermanent and temporary, if it's, even if we have the warranty that we will have it all life, let's say that there's no such a warranty, but all life, if it ends with death, then it becomes meaningless. And all that work, all those achievements, those things will have no meaning if everything ends with death. And especially keeping in mind, the second point is also important, that death can happen any time, because often what we do, because when we remember the reality that everything is, the end of everything is death, that kullu nafsin da'iqatul maut, like every soul is a taster, is tasting death, then what we do, we avoid that reality, and we start deceiving ourselves and imagining, living with the illusion that, oh, I still have time, I'm young, I have, I don't know, 34, average 30, 40 years, whatever your age. The younger you are, the more we add. But is it true? Is it true? Can any one of us guarantee that we will wake up tomorrow? No. Death is possible any time. So given this reality, how can we deceive ourselves and live a life that without having any sense of organic connection with permanence, things, a world that is permanent, that and the human heart and the soul long, the spirit long for permanence of everything we love and value, for eternity, for life after death. And that's, of course, another topic, but it is related to this. This is the beginning. The beginning is the choices that we make. So he found himself in the same place. So they are going through the same places. So it's not two paths. One is going north down, one is going into a south or something. No. They are going they are living in the same world, or it could be the same person, but when we make a different choice, we experience the world in a totally different way. But not as much. So he suddenly heard the roar of a lion, which was attacking him. He was frightened. So he is also attacked. There's a lion. He is also attacked. He is also frightened, but not as much as his brother. And why? Because of his good thoughts and positive attitude, he thought to himself, this desert has a ruler, because he knows there is order, he's following order. So there must be someone ruling and, taking care of this place. Has a ruler, and it is possible that this lion is a servant under the ruler's command. And he found consolation. But he still fled until he came across an empty well, 60 yards deep. He threw himself into it, just like the first brother. Like his brother, his hand clasped a tree halfway down, and he remained suspended in the air. He looked and saw two animals knowing through the tree's two roots. He looked up and saw the lion and looked down and saw the dragon. Just like his brother, he was seeing a most strange situation. He was terrified like him, like the brother, but his terror was 1,000 times less than his brother's. Why? Because of his good morals, had given him good thoughts, and good thoughts show the good side of everything. So because of this, he thought as follows: these strange happenings are connected to someone. I mean, these things can't be just like randomly. They must. Also, it seems that they are acting in accordance with a command, in which case these matters contain a talisman. Yet everything is happening at the command of a hidden ruler. Therefore, I am not alone. I don't know what the meaning of this activity is. I don't know how to solve this talisman. Yet, at least he concluded, I'm not alone. The hidden ruler is watching me. He's testing me. He's impelling me somewhere for some purpose and inviting me there. Apparently, and you feel it in life. You feel like you are impelled on a path for a purpose and inviting me there. A curiosity arising from this pleasant fear. There is fear, but there is fear and excitement are very close feelings. So there is fear, but there is also excitement. What's going on? Curiosity. Oh, who is this ruler? What does he want from me? Why is he putting me on this path? And this a curiosity arising from this pleasant fear and these agreeable thoughts prompt me to say, I wonder, or prompt him to say, I wonder who it is that is testing me. Oh, okay, he's speaking, prompt me to say, I wonder who it is that is testing me, wants to make himself known and is impelling me for some purpose on this strange road. Then love for the owner of the talisman rose out of the desire to know him. And from that love arose the desire to solve the talisman. And from that desire arose the will to acquire good qualities which would please and gratify the talisman's owner. Then he looked at the tree and saw it was a fig tree, the same as the first one, but it was bearing the fruits of thousands of trees. So then all his fear left him, for he understood that for a certain fig tree, one fig tree was at least, he understood for certain, like for sure, the fig tree was a list, an index, an exhibition. The hidden ruler must have attached samples of the fruits in the tree in a way that would point to each of the foods he had prepared for his guests. For there is no other way a single tree could produce the fruits of thousands of different trees. Then he began to entreat that he would be inspired with the key to the talisman. He called out, O ruler of this place, I have happened upon you and I take refuge with you. I am your servant and I want to please you. I'm searching for you. So it reminds us of Ibrahim alayhi salam when he was looking for his sustainer, and at the end when he thought like the moon and this, and they could not be because they were all impermanent. And then he says, okay, I can't find you myself. Please reveal yourself to me. Who are you, please? After he had made this supplication, the walls of the well suddenly parted, and a door opened onto a wonderful, pleasant, quiet garden. Indeed, the dragon's mouth was transformed into the door, and both it and the lion took on the form of two servants. They invited him to enter. The lion even became a docile horse for him. O my lazy soul, and O my imaginary friend, come, let us compare the position of these two brothers so that we can see how good comes of good and evil comes of evil. Let us find out. So now he's going to explain the meaning of the parable. But just something came to my mind, like when we have the fig tree, one tree with thousands of the fruits of thousands of trees. One way, like, but, or maybe I should ask you, like, do we even come across situations like this in our life? Like, is there something like this in life? Like one thing, but exhibiting like one tree, one material, and all different kinds of creations of beings coming out of it. Have you ever thought about it?
Is it that in every situation has different aspects? Like if you are in a situation, then there might be some, like many aspects of the situation which you are encountering.
True. I was thinking actually of a physical situation, and I was thinking, like, if we look at, for instance, plants, they are all coming from soil and air and sunlight. We say, yes, but the seeds and the grains are different. Yes, but the seeds and the grains, matter-wise, they are all made of, constituted of the same matter, the same ingredients, except that ingredients are ordered in a different way. So the difference is in the order, not in the type of matter. And if we go deeper, the soil, the grains, everything, they are, at the end of the day, they are all some atoms, some electrons and protons. And at the end of the day, everything is energy. And light is also energy. And yet, we see it in the form of all kinds of things. So even if we don't see it as a tree with different, isn't that amazing that different grains, you put them in the soil and they grow into something new? Like it's a miracle. Not only it's alive, different shapes, different tastes, different colors, different qualities, subhanallah. Or eggs. I mean, if you take a duck egg or a chicken egg, if you make an omelette, they are very similar. Matter-wise, they're very similar. You say, yeah, the DNA is, even the DNA is made out of the same components, except that they are ordered different. So the difference is not physical, it's an order. It's not something that we think of. And yet, all these eggs that look all similar, I mean, they look similar, they're not similar in shape, but matter-wise, but out of them come all kinds of different creatures, subhanAllah. So even physically, actually what happens in our world is much more amazing and much more miraculous if we pause and stop and reflect than one tree with lots of different fruits.
Dr. Yamina, could you clarify what a talisman means? There is a chat question in the chat box from Rachel saying, Salam alaikum. I'm sorry if this is an obvious question, but could you explain what is meant by talisman here? Is it something which is a reflection of the divine? I have only heard this word in the context of magic. The question is in the chat.
Yeah, here, so this is a, how do you say? This is a translation. So, and it's used here more in the sense of not of, if you say magic in the sense of, if we don't know God, and if you don't, instead of miracle, it looks like magic. Things are a seed, you put it in the earth and some water, and lo and behold, something is coming out. Just because we're taking it for granted, we say, yes, it's a seed, it grows, because we witnessed it again and again and again, we observed it, and now we take it for granted. So if you want to use magic in that sense, but here talisman is more in the sense that it's something mysterious that we don't know the meaning of, like there is an enigma here. It's enigmatic, something that needs to be solved, but not as a problem, but more as an enigma, something that, like here, for instance, when he realized that there must be a meaning here, and if there is a meaning, since everything here must have a ruler, must have an owner, he asked the owner for help, and lo and behold, everything opened up. It was like the let's say, between inverted commas, the magic word. When he says, oh, you, the ruler of all this, the owner of all this, please help, then everything started showing its meaning. They started showing their true nature. So in that sense, inshallah. And suddenly the lion, the dragon, became two servants that were serving him and helping him. And they invited him to enter, and the walls of the well opened up, and they were doors. So all my, inshallah, we can carry on? Or is there anything else?
No, thank you.
So all my lazy soul and all my imaginary friends, come, let us compare the position of these two brothers so that we can see how good comes from good, of good, and evil comes of evil. Let's find out. Look, the unhappy travelers on the left road is all the time trembling with fear, waiting to enter the dragon's mouth, while the fortunate one is invited into a blooming, splendid garden full of fruits. And the unfortunate one's heart is being pounded by an awful terror and grievous fear, while the fortunate one is gazing at and observing strange things as a delightful lesson with a pleasant fear. Even if there is fear, it's not paralyzing, terrorizing fear, and loving knowledge. Also, the miserable one is suffering torment in desolation, despair, and loneliness, while the fortunate one is enjoying himself full of hope, longing, and a sense of belonging. Furthermore, the unfortunate one sees himself as a prisoner subject to the attacks of wild beasts, while the fortunate one is an honored guest who is on friendly terms with and enjoying himself with strange servants of his generous host. So this is something that we repeated a lot in the past, and this is very important. So even if you're in the same place, one knowing, let's say something, if let's say two people sitting in one room, just to understand the difference is not necessarily physical. Sitting in the same place, in the same situation, both of them, let's say they are quite hungry, they haven't eaten all day, but one of them has no idea where he is, like what will happen. He's already started getting really hungry. He doesn't know if there is food around here or not. So can you imagine the worry and the fear going on and the anxiety? And the other one is sitting in the same place. He's been hungry for the same amount of time, but he knows that he is now in this place where they are going to serve him. It's they've been invited, and food is being prepared and will come soon. And he even has evidence. How, for instance, he's smelling. He smells the food being cooked. And the other one is like, what's going on? So one is physically, they look similar. He is also hungry, but he is now, it's a sweet hunger because he's smelling the delicious food and he knows that he is a VIP guest here. So they call him in and he will sit and eat his food. The other one, the first one, doesn't even know if there is food or not. He has no idea because he doesn't know. He never thought about where am I and who is bringing me here, what's going on. So you can see how we look at things, what we know and what we don't know makes a difference here and now. Here and now is very important because some people think, oh, after I die, you know, whatever happened, I don't care, I'll be dead. There is no such a thing. It matters here and now, and of course, before, after. And when we become more and more conscious, we live more consciously here and now, then how we live here and now is very much related to what happens after we die, because there is no such a thing as non-existence, and death is not annihilation, is not the end of being. That's just again an illusion of a mind that is not that has no wisdom and has not reflected on the reality of here and now, existence here and now. Also, the unhappy one is hastening his torments by indulging in fruits which are apparently delicious, but in fact they're poisonous. For the fruits are samples. There is permission to taste them so as to seek the originals and become customers for them. The originals are the paradise, the hereafter, the lasting ones. Everything in this world is a sample, an ayah, a foretaste of the lasting taste and lasting blessings and gifts of the hereafter. But if you indulge even something that tastes good, but if we overindulge, they become poisonous. I mean, even physically, lots of things that are known as pretty much healthy, even food, if we overeat, they cause illness. So if the fruits are samples, there is permission to taste them so as to seek the originals and become customers for them, but there is no permission to devour them like an animal. And this is like devour like an animal is used in the Quran. Those who eat without knowing the purpose of their life. They don't know who they are, what they are doing here in this life, and they're not preparing for eternal life. They don't know who their host is, whose guests they are. They don't even see themselves as guests of anyone, and they are unaware, or they don't want to acknowledge that they are being sustained in existence here and now. They eat like and enjoy themselves like animals, we are told in the Quran. Animals, it's okay because they are not created for the purpose of reflecting and getting to know the purpose of eating. So eating has one purpose, is to feed the body, but as it is nourishing the body, the meaning of that also has a meaning to find who is the nourisher, who is the sustainer, who is nourishing this body through so many different foods. Like a handful of food would have been enough, but no, we have so many foods, and we have been equipped with a tongue that can taste the difference in so many tastes, not only the tastes that are natural, like fruits and vegetables, but even when we combine them and cook them, we say, oh, I remember this tastes like something I ate when I was a child. Subhanallah. We taste and we differentiate and we remember. What kind of ability is this given to us only to eat and that's it? I don't think so. It's like an example that I give all the time. It's like if we give 100 years ago, when there was like no internet, no computer or something, you give someone a laptop. They have no idea what a laptop is. They may not even open it and use it as a tray. Yes, you can use it as a tray. It's not a good tray, very good tray, because it doesn't have handles and things, but it still can function like a tray. But like, can you imagine a laptop being used as a tray? It's been designed to do so many things, but that person is unaware and says, okay, this must be a tray. And this tongue can't be so sophisticated just for the sake of feeding the body like an animal. Like we have an animal side, but we are much more. That's only the tip of the iceberg. I carry on, but the fortunate one tastes them and understands the matter. He postpones eating them and takes pleasure in waiting. So he eats, but only tastes. Like he doesn't indulge in, because the goal is not the eating in itself. Yes, there is, you nourish the body. And here it's not only about food. Here the food is a metaphor for all kinds of meeting all kinds of needs that we have. And of course, we have not only physical needs, but also emotional needs and spiritual needs. For instance, emotional need, we need friendship, we need attention, we need love, we need security, we need generosity. But we also have a spiritual need, which means we need friendship to be permanent. We need justice to be permanent. We don't want things to come to be like to not last. And the not lasting is also, we cannot fully appreciate them if we are convinced that there is no lastingness. And usually, when we don't find, when we are not aware of the source, the eternal, everlasting, permanent source, the divine source, what we do, we prefer to avoid the reality, the so-called reality, the reality in our false perception, and we run away from that reality, actually that misunderstood reality, because we think there is no permanence, so we can't live in a world where nothing will be permanent. And so we just ignore the issue totally, and we deceive ourselves, and we live in self-deception without solving anything. So the fortunate one tastes them, the fruits, and understands the matter. He postpones eating them and takes pleasure in waiting. Moreover, the unfortunate one is wronging himself through his lack of discernment. He's making a truth and a situation which are as clear and bright as daylight into a dark and oppressive fear, into a hellish delusion. He does not deserve pity, nor does he have the right to complain to anyone. Are we okay with he does not deserve pity? When I read this, the first thing is like, why? But then immediately what came to my mind, yes, but like the author is speaking. If he's speaking, it means there is compassion. But he's saying, like, so he's warning us and advising. More than warning, this is an advice saying, are you sure? Look, be careful. This is the nature of life. This is what the Quran, we are told in the Quran. Please, please, please. In some passages in the Quran, it's almost, subhanAllah, it's like Allah is like pleading with his with people. Be careful, be careful, be careful. This road leads to a very hellish situation. If you want a paradise-like life, if you want goodness in this world and forever, please, this is the way. I'm showing you the way you choose, darkness or light. And so after all this, and in life also, we are given opportunities, like sometimes an illness, sometimes crisis, sometimes with we're given opportunities with like huge gifts and blessings, and see how much are we grateful. And if we don't get it, then we are again given other opportunities with crisis. And all this is to give us opportunities to wake up. Because when we don't wake up and live in mindfully, then we are in ghafla. And when we are in ghafla, when we are in living mindlessly, in heedlessness, then we miss the purpose of life. Can you imagine missing the purpose of life, living all our life, doing whatever we are doing, whether we're striving or not, whatever. And at the end, we find out that it was all for naught, for nothing. Don't we feel like our heart starts like getting, how do you say, as if someone is squeezing it? You feel so, just thinking about it makes me feel like that. Can you imagine the reality? So if after getting this message, hearing about it, and the author, there is compassion in the Quran, there is compassion in these people that took the message of the Quran and are relaying it to us, and if after that we still don't make any effort, then yes, that person, we can only blame ourselves. He does not have the right to complain to anyone. We can only blame ourselves. For example, and I'll stop here. We'll carry on next week, inshallah, because it's time for Maghrib. If you have any comment, anything before we resume, we stop, inshallah. Okay, سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين اللهم أرنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه وارنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه آمين والحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. So one of this dua is like, oh God, show us the truth as truth and make it easy for us to follow it, and show us the batil, the falsehood as falsehood, and make it easy for us to get away from it, inshallah. And may Allah make us of the people of the right, the people of humility, the people of good morals. May Allah make us make the choice to acknowledge the reality easy unto us, inshallah.
Stephen, I had a question about, both of them were facing the same situations.
Mm-hmm.
And when it came to the well, that one person who was ignorant and arrogant, he jumped into the well.
Mm-hmm.
So what does it mean when the person who was cognizant and who was on the right, following the order, what does it signify? Like he also jumped into the well.
We'll talk about it, inshallah. Yes.
Okay, inshallah.
Yeah, inshallah. Yes. We'll talk about the meaning of each situation, inshallah. Now it's just like an introduction of the two. There are two attitudes, two perception. One is one is misperception, living in delusion, in ghafla. One is becoming more and more acquainted with being open to understand the meaning of life and the meaning of life and the human soul and the purpose of being here, inshallah. And then we will see the relationship with, as in the beginning, remember how La ilaha illallah, there is no deity except God, solves the problem and delivers the human ruh from darkness and bring us into light, and the relationship with the two passages at the very beginning, inshallah. One is clear, I think. The religion before God is surrender, Islam, inna dina inda Allah Islam. We can guess that. And then the other one, that God, there is no deity, nothing except nothing to worship or ask help from, except He, the ever-living, the self-subsistent. Inshallah.
Inshallah. Jazakallah khair.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam.